Hi, and welcome to Video Evidence presented by Crime Fiction Lover. That's me. When you're talking about German crime fiction, hard-boiled noir is not the first thing that springs to mind. Sure, we've all heard of Berlin noir, but that's typically been written by English authors like Philip Kerr. However, there is one German author that you need to know about who is cutting a deep and consistent furrow in the hard-boiled part of the genre. Her name is Simone Buchholz, and today we're going to look at her latest novel, Sharks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read our review from the website, written by Sonja van der Westhuizen, to give you a little insight into what's so great about this author's work. After that, I'm also going to read a short passage from Sharks so that you can get a flavor for just how acerbic her style of hard-boiled noir is. Right, let's get started. Sharks by Simone Buchholz, as translated by Rachel Ward and published by Orenda Books. Sharks is the 8th novel featuring our intrepid, acerbic, and tough Hamburg state prosecutor, Chastity Riley. And frankly, we can't get enough of her. Sharks is just as dark and gritty as other books in the series from Blue Night onwards. Definitive German noir. However, the chronology of the stories is a little tricky, and Sharks is one of 3 translated novels published in German prior to Blue Night. As such, it follows on from The Kitchen, which is also reviewed on our site. You'll also find this full review on Crime Fiction Lover, and I'll post the link in the description and put it on the screen for you. As always, the setting is the shadowy side of Hamburg. We're not in the tourist areas, but rather in the south of the city and the gentrifying Wilhelmsburg district, a so-called problem area. This is Chastity's home ground where she lives and works. She knows it by heart, whether it's the run-down tower blocks, the gloomy pubs, or the nightlife and red light district centered around the Reeperbahn. The November weather is typically dreary, characterized by fog and an anorexic sun, as the author puts it. Chastity's state of body and mind is on a par with the winter weather. She's suffering from a severe chest infection and a persistent cough. Yet she still smokes like a chimney and refuses to stay in bed. This is no entry-level cough, she quips, taking a drag from her cigarette while standing over 2 dead bodies. Walt and Lorraine Tucker, an American couple, have been brutally murdered in their apartment building. Walt worked for a security company and spent most of his time at the shooting range, while Lorraine was involved in a fundamentalist church. Was it their extremely conservative stance that got them killed, or was it something less obvious? The building is run down and partly occupied by homeless people. This leads Chastity to the unethical practices of property firms trying to get rid of tenants in sought-after Art Nouveau buildings, the ugly side of gentrification, and one Danish property company in particular. The usual cast of characters is back, along with new additions. Berland Insman, a man who looks like an Arabian prince and is far too attractive for Chastity's liking. He replaces police detective Fowler, while Hollerith, the head of forensics, is replaced by the young and more efficient Kessler. Detective Calabretta still wants nothing more than a wife and a family, something he couldn't be further from achieving. Fowler now works as a private detective and is hired by the murdered couple's niece, Amy Tucker, to investigate their deaths. Much to Chastity's frustration, he stays one step ahead of her, remaining as sharp as ever. Chastity and her ex-burglar neighbor, Clatch, have been on again, off again for years. Apparently, he has abandoned his criminal ways and now works as a locksmith. Chastity has her doubts about his career and their relationship, likely due to a fear of commitment. Meanwhile, Clatch and Rocco, a friend he met in jail, are opening a pub called the Blue Knight in the red light district. It's a financial risk, especially as Carla, Rocco's girlfriend and Chastity's best friend, is pregnant. Two things make the Chastity Riley series special. Firstly, its caustic, wonderfully dark protagonist, someone who gets nervous around kids because they're erratic and emotional, don't drink or smoke, and are totally her opposite. Chastity's unfiltered inner and sometimes external dialogue always hits the mark. She's the cool girl without trying. Secondly, Buchholz's singular writing style, no doubt sharply translated by Rachel Ward, works brilliantly thanks to its pared-back nature. It's old-school hard-boiled, spiced up with offbeat humor and sharp observations. It's never flowery, over-descriptive, or padded with unnecessary text. When Chastity says she feels she's been cobbled together out of greaseproof paper, a bad origami state prosecutor, it's far more effective than a string of adjectives describing how tired she is. Short, quirkily titled chapters keep the pace, making for a one-sitting read. Isn't that exactly what we need in this age of short attention spans and information overload? And Sonja gave the book a crime fiction lover rating of 5 stars out of 5. The first chapter is called Push the Sack Aside and Walk In. This is no entry-level cough. Every few minutes, a dirty old farm dog comes crawling out of my lungs and barks so hard its chain rattles. I should be lying in bed drinking tea, but instead I'm standing around in a South Hamburg suburb looking at two old people's mangled heads and smoking. I hold my forearm over my mouth. "You're not well," says Calabretta, taking my cigarette off me. "It's about time you went to see the doctor about it," says Bruckner, his voice as severe as a side parting. "She won't listen to me," says Shula, which is just plain rude. He looks at me, grasps his voice box, and makes old man noises. "I've been struck down by the plague too." Yeah, I think, getting to the end of my cough. It tastes like blood. Once the barking dog has let go of my voice again, I say, "You're free to put it in a complaint against me, boys. Can I have my cigarette back, please?" "No," says Calabretta. He walks into the room next door to speak to the new head of forensics. Hollerith and his perpetual slip disc have taken early retirement. Hallelujah! The new bloke's called Kessler. Talented kid, modern and laid back. If his haircut was a tad less ambitious, I'd have a lot of time for him. Walton Lorraine Tucker's flat is a bit like coming home. It looks just as shit as Auntie Grace and Uncle Luke's place in Belhaven, North Carolina. The wooden floorboards are stained dark and are topped by a chaotic series of deep pile rugs in allegedly homely colors, such as rust red and mint green. The wallpaper is yellowing. It must once have been white, or then again, it might not. The ceiling is parnelled with a grid of hazelnut brown wooden boxes. In the very center of the room, directly in front of the gigantic plasma TV, There's a massive sofa with massive flowers in every possible pastel shade all over its upholstery. In the corner, to the right of the screen, there's an old brown gun cupboard, its door open. The cupboard is lined with a Confederate flag. "Is that allowed?" I ask. "What?" says Bruckner. "The far-right memorabilia?" "Keeping your guns in such a dodgy cupboard," I say. "I'd ban both," he replies. Hopefully, that gives you some idea of what Sharks by Simone Buchholz is all about. I've put a link to the text version of our review in the description with this video, as well as a link to where you can buy the book on Amazon. Doing so will help out our site as we'll get a micropayment from it. Finally, all I want to do is say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed what we've done, please drop us a like or even subscribe to the channel. See you again soon here on Video Evidence.